Yai dai dai yada dai yada dai yai dai dai yada dai yada dai yada dai yada dai dai dum ay yai yai yada dai yada dai yai dai dai yada dai yada dai yai dai dai yada dai yada dum yada dai yada dai 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 ay 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 yada da yada da dum. Yai dai dai yada da yada dai. Yai dai dai yada da yada dai. Yada da yada dai dai dum. Ay 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 yada da yada dai dai. Ay 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 yada da yada dai dai dai. Yai dai dai yada dai dai yada dum. Yabba ba yada dai dai dai. Ay 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 yada dai 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 dum. Ay 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 yada dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai yada dai dai yada dai. Yada dai yada dai. Yai dum. Boker Tov, good morning. Another day, at least it's sunny. I thought it was going to be raining today, so I initially started my day already thinking, ugh, it's raining. It's going to rain. It's going to be a bad day. But then it's not raining. So hopefully it doesn't rain for the rest of the day. But we already know we can't control the weather. So it is what it is. But there's something nice about the sunlight in the dark times. Not only the dark times of Kislev, but, things like Jan- January is right around the corner when it just always feels gray. So the more sun we can get, the less gray we can get, the better we often feel. So I wasn't sure exactly where I would go with this week's Torah portion, which is Vayeshev. But I talk about Joseph's dreams that caused all this friction and jealousy among his brothers, or the fact that he was sold to a caravan of Ishmaelites. Or maybe it was the drama of Judah and Tamar, or maybe Joseph's imprisonment that awarded him this dream interpreter title. There's so many little things, little different things in this week's Parshat. I thought to myself, okay, if I attack any one of those and leave something else out, was it more important? Was it less important? How much supporting detail do I have to give? Would we really understand the full story? And so, of those, how many things? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different items that are the key points in this week's Parsha. I decided not to go with any of them. So, yes, in this week's portion, Joseph's dreams are talked about, what they were about, the brothers that were, the being sold off, the drama, all of these things, dream interpreter, imprisonment. But I decided to go with this less common angle, which contains a noteworthy mitzvah of Nichum Avalim, which is comforting the mourners. So I have a lot of experience in this, mostly simply just because my rabbinate is a lot of different things, but funerals are something that I do quite often. And so I received a call. I forget what day it was. I want to say it was Saturday. It was Friday. From somebody I know from the neighborhood. And she said her father had died and she doesn't know what to do and she doesn't know who to call and she doesn't know what is appropriate. She only knows that he has a plot in Woodbridge, New Jersey. So I thought to myself, oh, Woodbridge, New Jersey. I'm not going there on Sunday. Already I'm thinking in my head, nope, it's not going to work out. Anyway, they had relatives from out of town, and so it wound up being yesterday, which is fine. But I saw other people from the neighborhood that made the trek and journey to that cemetery for the funeral. And so often comments are, I don't know how you do this. Now I really, given the circumstances, don't know how you do this. But there's something in comforting others that gives us comfort. And so that in itself, to comfort the mourners, is a mitzvah. It's something we're commanded to do, but it's a good deed. It's not showing up at Shiva, filling yourself with some plate of food, talking about your kids, the dog, the weather, your job, the world. But it's about being there to support others that are struggling. So in this week's Parsha, this weird angle of comforting the mourners is not really weird. It's just less common. People just don't talk about it. But we learn that Jacob believes his son has died. Jacob believes that Joseph was thrown into the pit, sold off and sold, and he's gone. So he rends his garments and mourns for his son for many days. In chapter 37, verse 35, it says, all his sons and daughters, I prefer all his children, sought to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. I'm going to rewind for just a second. Rending of the garments. What does this mean? If you have lost a loved one, or you have in your inner circle, or you have been to funerals, or you've watched shows, you know that more often than rending one's actual garments, I think it's because clothes cost too much money these days, but you get a black ribbon. I thought I had one here for props, but I guess not. A button or not a button, usually a pin, with a black short ribbon. And we tear that ribbon, symbolic of the tearing of our heart when we lose someone that we love. And so the more traditional way is to cut, literally rend, rip your garments, like ripped and torn guts and hearts. So Jacob does this because, well, he thinks his son is dead. But he doesn't, even though Torah says that we're supposed to comfort, he didn't want that. But why? Was it because of guilt? Guilt that he sent him away on a mission and then he was sold off to the Ishmaelites? When faced with a family member's death, the mind begins all sort of initial feelings. And often thoughts are convoluted. Guilt and grief, sorrow and loneliness, self-pity and pain, or just some of the emotions of the roller coaster that is. How are we going to deal with it? How are we going to function? How are we going to show up? We know that it's not going to be a straight path. And there will be highs and there will be lows and there will be everything in between. And time doesn't heal. It just allows us to be better at dealing with it. But when we know someone has lost someone, when we know a friend, a colleague, a person in the world has experienced death and is grieving, what is our responsibility? It's a mitzvah to be with the mourners. That's it. It's just a mitzvah. Simply put, be with the mourners. It's our duty to visit, to offer comfort and consolation, to be really more than anything a good listener without your own agenda to the one or the ones that have experienced death. The loss of a loved one. Sometimes I have like this mixed emotion about the word lost. I didn't lose somebody, when I hear lose, I think of an article that is left or misplaced somewhere. That's my own thing, whatever. I think sometimes we skirt around the word dead or death. And for me, those words are much more, maybe they're harsher to others, but they're more realistic. So that's what I choose. But to each his own. When we offer comfort and consolation, when we go to the house of Shiva, or we pick up the phone and talk to somebody, the greeting that's most traditional, and some of us know it and some of us don't, some of us use it and some of us don't, some of us have heard it and some of us have not. But the words are Hamakom Yenachem Etchem B'tok Sha'ar V'lei Tzion V'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you and all who have mourned for Zion and Jerusalem. Does it work? It works because it's traditional. More often it is, may you feel comfort. God's comfort, others' comfort. May you be comforted amongst all the mourners. All the mourners among us, the ones we know and the ones we don't know, the ones that are suffering and struggling, the ones of our holy land, but the ones where each and every home and every heart has experienced some sort of grief. May there be comfort. But what about the use of the word hamakom? Hamakom yenachem, it says. Hamakom yenachem. Hamakom means the place. But this is used a little bit different. But I think I have a little insight. It's not my wisdom, but I'm going to share it with, of course, the person who shared it with the world. The use of the word hamakom for the name of God seems strange, but not strange at all, when extending condolence to a mourner, to the bereaved. In the Rabbinical Assembly manual, Rabbi's manual, it says, God is with us whenever and wherever needed. Makes sense. It makes sense. When applied to those that are mourning. And we can use the reminder on the daily basis. But some of us are like, especially when death comes, we question God more than we ever did before. And the two questions that usually come up, or question and statement, is why, God, did you take my loved one? Or the other extreme is, thank you, God, they're no longer suffering. And somewhere we flux in between and in those same, holding both of those at the same time. There's no right or wrong to grief, as we know, or to why things happen in the world. But I share with you Rabbi David Paskin's understanding and explanation of the word hamakom. Hamakom meaning the place, and why he chose to use that word as a word for God, or the understanding of it, helps to connect the dots for us. I know for me it did, years ago. Hamakom, the space, the place. When someone dies, we have a space, a place, a big old emptiness, an empty hole. So what do? We fill it with anything possible, hoping that void will disappear. It doesn't matter. Hamakom, the place, the space, the hole, it's there. So Shiva comes. People may greet you with Hamakom Yenachem Etchem, with a cookie in the hand, or a deli sandwich in their hand. And so that place, Hamakom, that space and that place, that big old hole of emptiness, that which may be, stomach, sometimes mind, but the heart space, are we filling it with food and with conversation at Shiva that is nothing at all related to that which is Hamakom, the space and place of emptiness? It could be, because Jews love food, no? That's what they would say. It's a happy occasion, eat some food. It's a sad occasion, eat some food. If it's at no occasion, still eat some food. But spaces are so difficult. And often we fill them with the wrong stuff. Hamakom, the place, the space. If we changed our understanding of Hamakom Yenachem Etchem, may God comfort you, and connect its meaning to, may the space, that very space that hurts so much, that emptiness, become a source of comfort to you. May you learn to live in that space and be able to go into it and come out of it and dabble back when the feelings come. Rabbi Paskin his daughter died very young. And he wrote these words. He didn't write the words, so he wrote the words. He put the lyrics together and wrote the music to something I often sing at the end of a funeral when I see that space is just so big. So I'm going to sing it for you now before I continue with this little monologue of connection. Hamakom, may the one who fills all space. Hamakom, give us hope and give us strength. Hamakom, be with us and be with them. Hamakom yenachem etchem. So often we do things because, well, tradition tells us to do them. So we do them. But why not use these kind of moments as teaching moments? Why do we say Hamakom yenachem etchem? Because we hope that people will fill the space that is left them after someone dies with that which is legacy, memory, story, connection, communication. Why do we say the things we say? Why do we feel the feelings we feel? How do we deal with it? How do we move forward or even just stand still? Sometimes that's tough in itself, from and in the empty space. For those of us like Joseph that have been sold off to slaves, no, we haven't. For Jacob, for Joseph, for Abraham Avinu, for so many of tradition's people have found this and felt this emptiness of loss. And it's in the visits from friends and telling the stories and the memories and the time spent with those no longer here that those spaces become filled as we tell the stories, as we share in the grief, that comfort is found. We also need to be cognizant, aware that mourning doesn't end after Shiva. Loss is not easy for anyone. Everyone deals with it differently. But no matter how you deal with it, the void, the space, is real. The deep hole that is. When I said earlier, when I started this conversation, and I said that Jacob believes that his son had died and he tore his garments because he thought that he was sold, that he was killed, that he was taken away, imprisoned, put to death by the Ishmaelites, literally in a hole. That hole is real. And we as a caring community are charged with this mitzvah, are charged with fulfilling the commandment to reach out. And sometimes I'm guilty of it also. There's no answer. There's no response to your message. But it doesn't mean that they didn't get the message, that I didn't get the message. It means that in that moment I couldn't answer it. They couldn't answer it. But it still feels good to know that others are checking in, sending a note, a text, a call, whatever it is. For they and we have to go on living for many of us in difficult ways. Let us not forget these words, that love is as strong as death. The bonds created by love are eternal, and ours is the blessing of memory, through which the lives of our departed continue to be with us. Beloved friends, for those of you that are here this morning live that I can call out, and the ones that will show up at other times or didn't check in, Lita, Reb Tova, Suze, Paula, Linda, Jeneba, Eileen, Bet, Amy, Lisa. May we be blessed with the strength to build healthy relationships that create memories and carry us forward, but memories that we will carry with us and never want to forget. Hamakom, may the one who fills all space. Hamakom, give us hope and give us strength. Hamakom, be with us and be with them. Hamakom yenachem etchem. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you. We will continue to connect, to learn, to be with one another. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 9:30. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai. Have a great day, everybody.